Hi, today's recipe is meat on a dough, which is a Syrian pastry. For that, I'm gonna use 1 kilogram of all-purpose flour. This means around 2.2 lb. And I'm gonna sift the flour in a large bowl like this. It's always important to sift the flour when we are doing some baking, bread, pizza, or even the cake and biscuits. Sometimes there is little lumps inside the flour. It's not very good to find it while eating. As you can see, even though this is a good quality flour, I found this one. It's like lumps of flour, very hard. So after that, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of corn oil or vegetable oil. You can add the whole amount of olive oil or vegetable oil, it's up to you. And I'm gonna use my fingertips and the palm of my hands to incorporate the flour and the oil. As you can see, I'm doing that until the flour absorbs all the oily stuff, all the fat. And I will get the texture of the sea sand. This is optional, you can just add the oil without doing this step. Now I need 1 cup of warm water to prepare the yeast, and it's very important to be warm water, not cold, not too hot. If it's too cold, the yeast won't work, and if it is hot, the yeast will be dead, because as you know, yeast is organisms. So I'm adding 1.5 tablespoon of granulated sugar, and I'm gonna dissolve. Now regarding the yeast, I'm using like separated bags like this. This is around tablespoon inside. I prefer this one rather than the big amount in a jar or something like this, because when I got the jar from the market, if I'm not baking all every day, so I have to keep it for a long time, it will be exposed to the air and the moisture and will be ruined. So by getting these bags, will stay closed, and there is like little portion to use individually. I'm gonna stir this into the warm water, and I'm gonna leave it for around, let's say, 5 to 7 minutes. 10 minutes is fine. This will tell me if the yeast is alive and can raise the dough. I prefer to do this before adding the yeast directly to the flour to make sure that it's working. As you can see, this is the foam on top. This is the proof that the yeast is alive and working very well. And the smell is very strong, you know, the known smell of the yeast. So I'm now pretty sure that I can work with the dough and it will raise the flour. So I need the kneading attachment. I will add the yeast now. To the flour and oil mixture. I will see the amount of water is depending on the kind and the brand of the flour. Some types really take a lot of water, some little, so it depends on the brand. You can try and you will see. For now I've added 1 cup and around 1 tablespoon, and of course I will need more. As you can see, it's still dry. You know, this is 1 kilo of flour. Now this is the 2nd cup of warm water. Make sure that the water is warm, not cold, not super hot. I think I'm gonna add the whole thing. I can tell from the dough. Just I'm gonna help the mixer and scrape the flour from the edges of the bowl. We have to add the water. So now the total is around 2 cups and around 1 tablespoon. I mean, including the water with the yeast, of course. This is the 3rd cup. I'm gonna keep it here in case I will need some. You can feel it. If it's dry, you can add little by little water. Don't add the whole thing. What happens if it's like liquidy? You can add some flour. So if you do some mistake and add more water, don't panic and just add more flour, and you can fix the dough very easily. As you can see, I can feel that I should add few drops of water. As you can see, the dough is collecting like a ball. So this is around 1 tablespoon of water. I'm waiting till the dough is attached to each other like one piece. I'm gonna help the mixer again with a scrape and flipping the dough all over, as you can see, and continue kneading. Now regarding kneading, I'm gonna knead for 15 minutes. This is very important to make sure that the amount of time giving to the kneading, it's not like cookies we just collect and we need a fluffy and very soft dough. Here it's similar to the pizza and bread. We have to knead very well for around 15 minutes. If you are in hurry, you can like make it 7 minutes, but the best result depends on 15 minutes of kneading. Now here I have 500 grams of beef, minced beef. You can use lamb also, any kind of meat. This is onions, around 3 medium sized onions. And tomato, I'm gonna use around 3 to 4 pieces, peeled and minced. And the spices, I'm gonna use 1.5 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 teaspoon 7 spices, half teaspoon black pepper, half teaspoon cumin, half teaspoon of coriander, and also Aleppo pepper or any kind of paprika, hot, spicy, or the normal one, smoked one, anything you will. Now I'm gonna add pomegranate molasses, around 2 tablespoons. This is very delicious with this kind of stuffing. You can add less or more, depends on how sour you want the pomegranate to appear in the mixture. This is kind of sweet and sour at the same time. Very delicious with this kind of food, and also with salads. We use it a lot in Syria. The best way to mix is clean hands. I'm mixing with pressing, and I want to make something like paste, just to make it easy for me to spread the meat over my dough after that, and also to mix all the ingredients very well with the spices. Now I'm gonna leave it in the fridge. I will cover it with plastic wrap first. I'm gonna leave it till the dough is ready. Now, as you can see, if you notice this, the dough is collecting, like there is nothing on the edge of the bowl. So I'm gonna put some vegetable oil in this glass bowl and gonna spread by the brush to make a non-stick surface, because I want to drop the dough here to make it easy for me not to get a sticky dough after that. So just toss the dough in. And cover with plastic wrap. Now we have to keep it in a very warm place. Usually I put it in the oven. Of course I switch off the oven, it's not working, but it's closed. And also I cover it with some kind of blanket, small blanket, to keep it very, very warm. It's very important, especially if you live in a very cold country, or the kitchen is cold. And I will wait to around 1 hour or 2 hours. So minimum 1 hour, maximum 2 hours. This is after 1 hour. As you can see, the dough is very successful. It's up. So I'm gonna now just let the dough down. I'm not kneading, just I'm getting rid of the air that inside, like this. This is the dough, which is very ready to start. Now I will need my rolling pin, and also I have these cutters. This is the round circle shape one, as you can see, with 2 edges. The first one is regular circle, and the second one is like zigzag or flower, something like this. There is a certain design. Also I have this cute cheesecake mold, heart shape, but I'm gonna use it anyway to cut heart shapes. This is very good for Valentine's Day. I need some flour to dust the surface, my table surface, and I'm gonna start to roll the dough. Even though the rolling pin is non-stick, but still I need some flour to dust the dough. Now I'm gonna try to make the dough as thin as you want. I'm gonna show you this. I'm not making this dough very thin. It's around medium thin. So any thickness, it's up to you. The dough is very good, very easy to deal with. As you can see. I'm just continue rolling until I get uneven thickness all over. When you feel the dough is sticky, just add a dust of flour to the surface. Now I'm gonna start to use the cutter like this. This is circle. We can also use the other side. Very easy. You can also dip the cutter in the flour if it's sticky. Now the heart shape mold. What if I don't have these? That's totally fine. I can use anything in the kitchen, anything handy. For example, we can use any cup like this, glass cup like this, any diameter. This is almost the same size. So another tip also, before adding the stuff to the dough, I will take it and put it in the oven tray or pan to make it easy for me, because if I add the meat, it might be very difficult for me to transfer the dough and the meat on top to the oven tray. So this is how I organize the process. Now I'm gonna add the stuffing. This is the meat. You will find some juices out of the tomatoes and onions inside the stuffing. So try to not to take the very liquidy parts. Try to take just the dry kind of meat. And I'm gonna try to spread all over the dough like this, with gently pressing with the spoon or with your hands. I'm starting with the heart shape dough. And I'm leaving around a few millimeters around. I didn't spread the meat all over the whole surface of the dough, like you can see. And this will go into a preheated oven around 450 Fahrenheit for around 15 minutes. You should watch it. It depends on the oven itself. As you can see, this is the result. This is very good for if you have a birthday party or something like this. Small portions. We don't put it on a cooling rack as usual. We just put it in a plate, and also I cover it with a clean kitchen towel. Now I'm gonna start to form another shape of the meat on dough. I'm cutting the dough into balls. Any size you want, you can form the dough balls. And I will start to use the rolling pin. I want to get a circular shape, and I want it thin this time. And you need also flour because it's kind of sticky. I'm trying to get a very regular circle. As you can see, this is the thickness. You can see my fingers through the dough. And also I'm gonna transfer it to the pan before adding any meat on top to make it easy and more practical. So I'm gonna use, at this point I feel that using my hand is the best, but be careful about dealing with raw meat and chicken and something like this, because you need to wash your hands very well after finishing and touching any other thing in the kitchen. This is very important to have everything clean and to avoid serious illnesses. Also the egg, same thing for the egg, also the raw egg. Just pressing the meat against the dough to stick it very well. Here you go. And the same thing. Also I'm leaving around only the dough without meat. Now after baking in the oven, this is the result. See the color? Very nice golden brown. The meat is well done. Now also no cooling, as I've mentioned, just I'm gonna add like this and cover it with a clean towel or kitchen cloth. Usually we mix this oval shape also, so the shape is totally up to you. And this dough is very practical, you can use it with any kind of stuff, sweet or salty. And this is my plate for today. We serve it with yogurt, some vegetables, some pickles. I hope you will try this recipe. If you like this video, give me a thumb up and hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.